Hello and welcome. So, we're told that in the figure below we have two tangent circles. Now, don't worry too much about what a tangent circle is. Tangent just means that it hits at one point, right? We see that one point there on the right side. That just means that that's the only point that these circles have in common, and that's why they're called tangent circles. Okay, so don't worry too much about the vocab. That just means that this point is on both circles right there. Okay, so you have two tangent circles such that the 4 centimeter diameter of the smaller circle is equal to the radius of the larger circle. So let's digest this information a little bit. A diameter is something that passes through the center of a circle and goes to the two edges, right? From circumference to circumference, right through the circle. It's what we call a chord, right? A special chord, where essentially we know that the radius is half the diameter. So if the diameter is 4, that means the radius is 2. Now, what we're told specifically is that this diameter actually is the radius of the larger circle. So of our circle that's not shaded in, it's the diameter and the circle has a radius of 2. Okay, but that 4 is actually the radius of the larger circle. So if we draw any radius, we know it's going to be 4 there. Just like if we draw any radius in the small circle, it's going to have to be 2. Because every radius, no matter where you draw it, has to be the same. Okay, so that is some of the information we know there. And then it says, what is the area in square centimeters of the shaded region? Well, let's think about it this way. How do we find area of a circle? Well, hopefully you know what the area formula for circles is. That's an A equals pi r squared. Well, all that requires is that you gotta know r. R stands for the radius. So if we know that the area of the larger circle is pi r squared, then that means you just plug in your 4, right? So then we have A equals 4 squared times pi, or if I keep the same orientation, pi times 4 squared. Okay, and then that's going to be 16 pi. Now we'll notice that none of the pi's have been multiplied in here, which means we're just going to keep it as 16 pi for now. Okay, now are we done? No. The reason why we're not is that specifically we're asked to find the area, but it's the area of the shaded region. Now the shaded region isn't the entire circle right here, right? You'll notice that it's just like this entire place except for the white circle, meaning you want everything there except this portion. And right now the 16 pi is the entire thing, but we just need to take out the smaller portion inside, right? So all we have is that we have the area of the larger circle, right? Area of the larger circle, and if we take out the area of the smaller circle, we're going to get the area of the shaded portion. So I'd say, okay, now we have our 16 pi, now we got to find the area of the smaller circle. Okay, I'm going to put an L for larger. Okay, so area of the smaller circle, same thing, pi r squared. And we know the radius, right? We already found that to be a radius of 2. And then that means we have pi times 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4, so 4 pi is the area of your smaller circle. So 16 pi minus 4 pi is now our area of the shaded circle. And 16 minus 4 is 12, which means 12 pi is the area that we are looking for, which we see 12 pi right there is one of our answers. Okay, not too shabby. And that's it. You're done. That is all you're needed to find on this one. Okay, so just make sure you're reading your directions carefully. If it says the area of the shaded region, be careful the shaded region isn't the entire thing. It's without this little circle. Alright, so if you're looking for an entire an entire portion, make sure you're just reading that carefully. Alrighty. Thanks for watching.